you guys can approve it, that's fine. I'm gonna vote against it because I'm not gonna tolerate people coming in here to lie. You drive 40 miles down the street, miles an hour.
Yeah.
Ignorance of the law doesn't mean you're not guilty.
Yeah, I get it.
I think one of the concerns.
There's not enough hands in this room right now to be able to count the amount of people who have voiced their displeasure and their frustration and their mistrust in the mayor and the administration.
I know you reject the idea, but I've talked to countless wives, I've talked to countless people, including police officers, fire officers, all of these people, about the health insurance. That's just one issue. It's just one, and I know it sounds terrible. It's a relatively small issue except for the people that are affected. And so I will tell you point blank, there are women out there that are putting off mammograms, and you're kidding yourself if you think they aren't.
It's unbelievable, the people that come up to me. I was in the drive-thru at Hardee's last weekend, had two guys walk up to me and bang on my window. So what are you going to do with that mayor? I said, I don't know, I'm going to eat my cheeseburger first, we'll think about it.
And today I heard a new thing. I just heard a new thing, that when you took office, we had a $2 million deficit in health insurance. I don't know if somebody said that, but that's insane.
That's quite a feat. It's extremely clear that people are upset. Things need to be addressed desperately. The City of Quincy elected Mayor Trope in 2021, and you will all have another chance to have your voice heard very soon.
Alright everyone, we've had some major drama at Quincy, Illinois City Council meetings the past couple of weeks. Everything from council members storming out of meetings to personal attacks from one city employee to another, and threats of a lawsuit that culminated into a no confidence vote against the mayor. The vote was a complete waste of time for the taxpayers and the council because it carries absolutely zero legal weight. In other words, the mayor is still the mayor and we still have the same problems as before. This no confidence vote was spearheaded by Alderman Mike Farha, who is the brother of Adams County State's Attorney Gary Farha, who happens to be the biggest corrupt POS in the county. If Alderman Mike Farha thinks he can do a better job than Mayor Trope, then he should have run for the office of mayor during the last election. Alas, a quick review of tax records shows that Alderman Mike Farha didn't pay his personal property taxes for the 2 years leading up to that election. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the pro-law enforcement alderman that thinks he can do a better job doesn't pay his taxes. The drama stems from the police officers union working without a contract for 2 years. This has led to police officers having problems using their health insurance, mandatory overtime, and officers not answering their phones because they don't want to work non-stop, among many other issues. It's rare that I speak up in support of law enforcement, but in this instance, I feel it's warranted. Nobody that works a job should have to be worried about their pay and benefits when they're doing their jobs right. I've spoken to many residents about the city council drama, and most of them don't seem to understand where all the problems are actually beginning. Some would say the mayor, some the police, and some would say the city council. I thought to myself for a moment, why is the public so misinformed about what's going on in our city government? Is it the city council's fault, the mayor, the local media, or the fact the general public prefers to stay oblivious? So, I decided to check out the Fire and Police Commission public meeting to see why the public is left in the dark. A quick check of the city's website concerning public meetings, agendas, minutes, and physical location made it blatantly obvious why the public is left in the dark. It's because they are quite literally locked out of these public meetings. There's a city council chambers less than 10 feet away that has microphones, cameras, and a large open space for the public to attend, which is not even being used during the Fire and Police Commission. Instead of using the council chambers like logic would dictate, the commission chooses to hold their public meetings in a locked conference room that has very little seating, no cameras, and is recording audio only through a personal cell phone. After finding these obvious problems, I then expanded my search to other committees and commissions that work for the public. Many of these public meetings are held behind locked doors, with a sign on the door that says you have to give your name to get in. There's even a public meeting in room 235 of the City Hall, which most employees don't even know where it's at. I'm pissed off, guys, and I'm filing multiple lawsuits against the City of Quincy for these blatant violations of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. They need to conduct these meetings in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act to the benefit of the citizens of Quincy. All of this could have been avoided if the mayor would have returned my phone call. If you disrespect a journalist and you're a politician, it will come back to haunt you, and this is a prime example of that. I sincerely hope my viewers understand that I don't receive any money from these lawsuits. If you want to see more public meetings forced open by a hard-nosed journalist, then please be sure to donate a few bucks to the cause. It takes time and money to make these videos, and any help is greatly appreciated. And one other thing I'd like to add in, guys. They even hold the Ethics Commission public meeting behind key card access locked doors. You just can't make this stuff up. And on top of that, it's supposed to be a 4-person committee with the Corporation Counsel, which is an attorney, actually sits on this commission. There's supposed to be 3 citizens. There's only 2. Maybe I should throw my hat in the ring.
My name is Adam Gibson. I'm the Supervisor's Chapter Chair for members of the Quincy Police PBPA Unit 12 Sergeants and Lieutenants. I come before you today to tell you that current manpower and working conditions are not safely maintainable. Manpower is at a point that sergeants are now being assigned to work districts instead of being available to supervise officers working. We have some officers working 10+ straight days and 12-hour shifts, some of this due to taking voluntary overtime and then having mandatory overtime added on top of the voluntary overtime. Many officers will no longer take voluntary overtime due to the fact that if they do take the voluntary overtime, they'll be mandated to work on their only other day off of that week. Officers are reluctant to answer department calls due to frequent mandatory and last-minute overtime. Officers continue to leave the department and others are looking to leave. Easing residence restrictions to allow the pool of applicants to expand has become critical. It may not be the answer, but it's a solution that the mayor hasn't even allowed to be tried. The mayor himself told the media outlets after last week that he had no problem easing residency requirements, that it was the personnel committee that wouldn't sign off on it. A personnel committee made up of members of this council. The mayor himself has now said and fully acknowledged that he is the person that is responsible for the contract language. The city has retained and used outside counsel for negotiations and arbitration that in many instances has done more to stall and delay negotiations than help them. This has also given the mayor someone else to point the finger of blame at, something he's become very good at. The department still has numerous computer issues, despite what the mayor tells you. We have recorded interviews and lineups that have been lost in cases that require recordings by statute. Our evidence computers still do not work. We are working on a laptop for evidence, and that system still often fails. Many officers still can't access all the network drives and RMS from the in-car MDCs, and often it depends on which computer you get on in the station as to which drives you have access to. Email sometimes is not accessible from the cars, or again, depending on which computer you get on in the station. All the drives, RMS, and evidence are crucial in being an effective department. But again, the mayor says all issues are taken care of. And before the question is asked, yes, the information has and continues to be passed along and still remains an issue on a daily basis. I'm certain the mayor will blame IT for all of this. IT that is in need of people which have been cut by this administration. It seems every aspect the mayor is interested in is being able to gloat on how much money the city is saving as the city crumbles around him. The only common problem in all of these situations is the mayor. Something I learned long ago: if a person has issues and problems with so many people, generally the person with the problems only need to look in the mirror for the real problem. Every situation that comes up in this city is someone else's fault and a total lack of accountability by anyone for their problems. It's time to accept responsibility and for this council to start taking action to fix these problems before it's too late. Thank you.
You're next.
So my name is Robert McGee. I'm the president of the PBPA Unit 12 that represents police officers and supervisors here in the city of Quincy. Before I start with what I have scheduled to speak tonight, I was asked by a council member to give you guys the votes of how they went for the votes of no confidence for Local 822 and for the PBPA. 50 members of Local 822 voted. They voted 0 votes of confidence and 50 votes of no confidence in the mayor. 52 members of the Quincy Police Department voted. We had 1 member that chose to abstain from voting, and 51 members voted no confidence in the mayor, with no members voting confidence in the mayor. So tonight, what I want to talk to you about is the number 247. 247 is a great number, unless it's the number of uncovered shifts that your police department has or will have over a 3-month period, more specifically in June, July, and August. And that's what the Quincy Police Department has or will have had. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot keep doing this. We're dying a slow and painful death at QPD. We, the police department, feel that residency requirement changes will help. Chief Adam Yates agrees that that will help. Alderman Reese last week asked the mayor to prepare a change to residency requirements. I'm sure the mayor presented you all with a very confusing document that required a new hire to jump through a list of hoops to qualify, and it helped no current police department officer with their morale and does not help police officer retention either. In front of all council members is a memo of understanding prepared for you by Shane Voiles, our union attorney. It's a mutually beneficial agreement and provides 50-50 benefits to the union members and the city. It reads as follows. Employees covered by this agreement shall reside within 40 miles from City Hall. This boundary extends into Missouri and Iowa and does not require residency in Illinois only. I have the original copy right here. It's signed by me. It's waiting the mayor's signature. I would ask that during new business, or whenever it's proper to do so in this venue, that you place a vote to pass this new residency requirement next week and tell the mayor to sign this document. He'll try to tell you he cannot do that he cannot bargain with us right now, which is a complete lie or just ignorance. He can sign this just like I did. Unfair labor practice lawsuits do not stop either party from speaking to the other or negotiating, contrary to the many times Mayor Trobe has said that it does. We're pleading with you to make him sign this document to change residency so we can get more lateral transfers. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Just to clarify, last week we did send the information and referred it to the Police Automatic Committee, and the committee members have your copy of that document now, and if you would, take that into consideration.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I move for a vote of no confidence of Mayor Mike Trope, please.
Second. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, please. I was elected to be a voice for the neighbors of mine in the 2nd Ward. It's my responsibility and it's my duty to sit here on the horseshoe and be their voice. Keep in mind, this is not a power struggle between myself and you or the council and the mayor. I have no political aspirations at this point other than being the best alderman I can possibly be for my neighbors in the 2nd Ward. It's my duty and my responsibility to sit up here and have this discussion with the rest of my seatmates, dealing with the frustrations that I hear on a daily basis, not only from the neighbors in my ward, but people on the street. My wife jokes that I can't go to the grocery store, pick up a gallon of milk in less than an hour. That's because people talk to me about numerous items. A lot of it having to do with the 2nd Ward, but a lot of it having to do with the frustration with this administration. I can count on one hand over the last year, year and a half, the number of people that have spoken with me in support of the mayor and the administration. And there's not enough hands in this room right now to be able to count the amount of people who have voiced their displeasure and their frustration and their mistrust in the mayor and the administration. So it is my duty and my responsibility to have this discussion tonight and to have this vote tonight. And it's one that I take very seriously. And I will vote no confidence due to the fact of the overwhelming concerns and frustrations voiced to myself from my neighbors in the ward, from people on the street, and from the employees. Thank you.
Other comments?
Yes, I just have two questions. I noticed that one of the first comments you made in rebuttal was that you have Quincy growing. I just want to know when you're going to post the 2020 census and those numbers on the signs. The previous census was 40,366. To my way of math, 39,463 is less. And I think any of the medical people will tell you our death rate is higher than our birth rate, which isn't a good sign. And the only way you can fix that problem is by starting to admit there is a problem. So I have that question for you. What's your answer?
Well, we've had with that QRAP to be able to get more people to move into the community this last year to help fill the jobs that our largest employers have. And that's continuing to add more eligible people to that list. And yeah, so that's what we're doing. Do I have a specific count? Not in front of me, I don't.
Okay, thank
And the
you for that.
signs, and Alderman Farr, the signs, I know, I think it was Chuck Bevelheimer's working on new signs for the entrances, to town. And that is in process of being updated.
Thank you. I do have one more question. So I know you reject the idea, but I've talked to countless wives. I've talked to countless people, including police officers, fire officers, all of these people, about the health insurance. That's just one issue. It's just one. And I know it sounds terrible. It's a relatively small issue except for the people that are affected. And so I will tell you point blank, there are women out there that are putting off mammograms, and you're kidding yourself if you think they aren't. Now that may be their fault, it may be your fault, it may be all our faults, but they are putting it off. There are women that rationing care to their children. I just want to know what you're going to do to make these people whole. Because they're not whole. And I mean, there is just such a tremendous lack of information. And going out for an RFP and ending up in the same place that we started is not an answer. And today I heard a new thing. I just heard a new thing, that when you took office, we had a $2 million deficit in health insurance. I don't know if somebody said that, but that's insane. Because nobody told the alderman that there was a $2 million deficit in health insurance, and now we've saved all that money. Well, how have we saved it? I think you that are wives, you that are husbands, you that have rationed your own health care can answer that. So I would like an answer as to what you're going to do about that.
Yeah, Sherry, do you want to come and answer the question about the change in that reserve, which I think is the biggest part of that adjustment in the health insurance account?
Yeah, I've got the document here. So I think you guys all remember, it was in 2020, the then person here at the city who was in charge of healthcare, our final Blue Cross bill of the year had came due and there was no cash. So obviously when a fund the health insurance fund generates revenues because you charge the employees, and then every pay cycle, the employer is putting money into this fund. Well, when it got down to the final payment in April 2020, there was no money. I think the Personnel Committee authorized a sweep of $285,000. So we all know the police department has been staffing more positions than we can fill. The police department, they did a sweep from them. That was like the biggest department who contributed. So like I know in my department, I had someone who we planned for a +1 if they were a single that has excess. So we basically took unbudgeted money and swept. That made fiscal 20 it made the year whole. But I think what they're referring to, Alderman Farha, is each year the fund has revenues and expenditures. And I know the unions, when we met during negotiations, we shared all this information with unions. I know we shared with the Personnel Committee. In fiscal 20, the healthcare ended the year in deficit, and there was a $285,000 sweep. Fiscal 21, the Personnel Committee approved an $840,000 loan from our self-insurance, which is our MICA fund. We took $840,000, put it in the health insurance fund to make the year whole. You have to have cash flow because what we were charging employees and employer wasn't enough to pay what was going out. So obviously you can't spend more than you have. Fiscal 21 later, that was in October that we did the $840,000. In November, we passed a supplemental approved by this council to transfer, we had excess revenues. We increased all the departmental budgets by $574,000 so that we could sweep it back. You guys approved that action. In January of 21, same fiscal year, we approved another supplemental budget ordinance, increasing healthcare by another $750,000. So when you total the $285,000 from fiscal 20, the $840,000 loan, the $574,000 supplemental that was passed in November, the $750,000 supplemental that we passed in January, $2.449 million was basically injected into health insurance fund because from fiscal 16, when the city chose to leave Robert Bauk as our TPA and we went over to Blue Cross plan, 5 years straight, there was no premium increases to any city employees, and there were times when the city was underfunding our premium. Wasn't this administration? I wasn't involved. I knew about it. Some of the aldermen, I think, were aware. So this problem that we're in with healthcare started a long time ago, and it's just kind of been the, no one's talking about it. So here we are, and
So, I've talked to you innumerable times. I sense this, but no administration's ever stepped up to the plate and acknowledged this. So I just want to point out, you shouldn't be answering this question. You're not the health insurance expert, and I didn't mean to get you up here, and I'm sorry you had to get up here.
well,
You're not the expert. The expert, the one that sold himself as the expert, should be answering the question. But I appreciate your answer. You don't have to go through it. It's laboring for you. It's not necessary, okay? Thank you.
And I just want to make another note that every employee gets a summary of benefits, and mammograms are free to employees once per calendar year. So obviously, if there's anybody who thinks they should not get one, it's in our plan doc as a covered benefit, one time per year. Just saying.
Thank you.
Hey, Sherry, did your daughter have to delay an operation because you were told she didn't have insurance?
Why don't you repeat the question so everybody can hear it?
So, Officer McGee asked if I had to have a delayed operation for my daughter, and it wasn't delayed. She had to have two, and my issue with healthcare was there was never any bill. I didn't have to. Nothing got ran through the system because it was where the system when the plan year changed.
So Hollensteiner's had a free baby and your daughter had a free surgery.
Yeah, we need to get back here. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I have one. I want to piggyback on everything Alderman Bergman said. I agree with it wholeheartedly. 2 years ago, when I applied for this job and got hired by the public in Ward 1, I promised them that I would be their ears, their eyes, their voice. And I also promised them I would question everything. I'm not a rubber stamp. I don't work for this administration. I work for the people. And if I ask tough questions, all right, that's just the way it is. If I aggravate the administration, sorry. But my obligation is to the residents of Ward 1 and to a certain extent the residents of the whole city. I feel like I've kind of been labeled as one of the 4 that went against the mayor. Absolutely not. Like Alderman Bergman. It's unbelievable, the people that come up to me. I was in the drive-thru at Hardee's last weekend, had 2 guys walk up to me, bang on my window. So what are you going to do with that mayor? I said, I don't know, I'm going to eat my cheeseburger first, we'll think about it. You know? I mean, it's just all the time. I mean, emails, texts, I mean, they're all over my phone. And Mr. Mayor, I like you, but other people don't. And I got to hear it, you know? And I speak up for them. And when I speak up for the people, sometimes you're not going to like it. And they're frustrated, they're mad, they're angry. I can't think of one text, phone call, conversation I've had. Well, I think of one the other night, Kelly's. But where people think you're doing all right. And that was somebody that knew you. Other than that, this has been tough. And I'm going to continue to work for my boss, which is the people of Ward 1. And they're not liking what they see in this building right now. Thank you.
Any other comments? So I do have a question for Laura. A yes vote is a vote of no confidence.
Correct.
A no vote is a vote of confidence, correct?
I would say it would be just a vote of no confidence.
Correct. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a comment. Whatever happens, obviously I just want the public to know that this vote has no legal, like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, whatever happens tonight, nothing's going to change. But the fact is that we have to all learn to work together. We have 2 years left, we have 14 aldermen, and we have 1 mayor. We have a police union, and we all have to work together, and we have to be willing to compromise and give things up and listen to each other and help each other. So I hope that whatever happens, we can at least try to do that.
Anything else? Now let's do a roll call.
Alderman Ebbing?
I abstain, and I'm going to give you my reason why I'm abstaining. I've only been on this council for only 2 months. I don't have the history or the information as most of you other aldermen have. In the last 3.5 days since it's been on the agenda, I've been phone calls from people who are for the mayor and people who are against this confidence vote. 3.5 days is not enough time for me to evaluate both people who are for or against this. I don't have the experience that the other aldermen have had and the experience they've gone through in the last 1.5, 2.5 years. And every call I have been getting, whether it's through an email or a phone call, they've all been different stories. Even today and even tonight, I've heard a different story that I've heard before. So I do not have the short time of giving to evaluate all these things I have heard to make a fair vote. So at this point, That is the reason I am abstaining, because I have not had enough time to make a fair evaluation.
Alderman Reese,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Uzelak,
No.
Holschlag,
No.
Fletcher,
Yes, no confidence.
Antra,
No.
Bergman,
Yes, no confidence.
Bauer,
Yes.
Rivera.
Before I get to my vote, I just had a few things that I wanted to say. First of all, thank you to all the Third Ward residents that reached out to me over the last week. I'm rather new. I've been here for 6 months, and to make this decision was quite a feat. It's extremely clear that people are upset. Things need to be addressed desperately. The City of Quincy elected Mayor Trope in 2021, and you will all have another chance to have your voice heard very soon, and I would like you to do that. However, I'm going to vote no tonight. I truly believe that this has only accomplished further division than acting as a true solution to these issues. Thank you.
Alderwoman Mays,
Yes.
Farha,
Yes.
Sassen,
No.
Rhine.
No.
I have 7 ayes, 6 noes, 1 abstain.
So the motion is approved for a vote of no confidence. Okay, resolutions.
Where's the caucus room?
It's back there.
Back there? Is it in the city hall?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, hello?
Where's the caucus room?
Across the hall.
Across
But
the-
you can't get back there right now. It's
What?
locked up. So,
Why is it locked?
I don't know. Security.
Okay.
So you can, Ashley, I think just went down the hallway. She'll be coming back.
Okay.
So you can go back with her.
Hi. Where is the caucus room?
This room is gonna be back in the HR area.
Okay.
That way.
Is that open to the general public?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Is there a meeting back there?
Yes, there is. There's a public meeting, and that's a violation of Illinois Open Meetings
No,
Act.
I'll call back there and let them know.
Okay.
Do you know when it started?
9 a.m.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they're going to be making some changes.
Hi.
You are here for?
The Fire and Police Commission.
Okay.
That's held here.
Verna, is he coming back here?
I don't know. Let's wait till Barry is.
Okay.
Wait for Barry?
Yeah, we'll wait
Okay,
for Barry.
Barry's the head of the commission, right?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. He's not here quite yet.
Okay.
So when he's here,
Are any of the other board members in there?
yes,
Okay.
yes, one. So,
All right. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
All right, how are you?
Good.
Wow.
Are you Barry?
I am.
All right, I'm here for the meeting.
Okay. We'll be in there in a little bit. All right then. Let's go.
Okay.
And your name is, sir?
Kent.
Kent?
Yep.
Barry. Good to see you. This is Myrna.
I've met her before. It's been a while though, I think. It's been a year
You
or two.
look kind of familiar to me. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How you doing? We're gonna be in here.
Okay. And this is a 3-member board, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. So we'll call to order the Board of Fire and Police Commission meeting Tuesday, July 11th, 2023 at 9 a.m. in the caucus room of City Hall, Quincy, Illinois. You take the roll call, please.
McLaughlin present.
Chain present.
Caldwell present. Burns present.
Vernon present. Okay, and also in the room for record, if you would introduce yourself, please.
Nick Highland.
And who do you represent?
Just here in a personal capacity, but I'm a sergeant for the Quincy Police Department.
Sir, in the back, please.
I'm just here to witness, that's all.
What's your name?
I'd rather not give it.
All right.
Steve Sauer, Deputy Chief, Quincy Fire Department.
Thank you. All right, and just for record, the gentleman who's not providing his name is also taping and recording this meeting. All right, the next is public comments. Do we have any public comments at this time? Have we received any public comments by any media source? Anyone? Yeah. From me as well.